We specialize in a lot of trade talk on this channel, and the trade history of Cleveland's baseball franchise is certainly a roller coaster. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, they were cursed by the sluggers who got away. Richie Sexson, Jeremy Burnitz, Brian Giles, Brandon Phillips, just to name a few. And while that curse may have subsided for a while, I fear it's beginning to rear its ugly head into Cleveland fans' hearts once again. The Guardians have quietly made a handful of questionable transactions the past few years, and only last season have we begun to see these misguided swaps start to get really ugly. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, I want you to take a look at what the 2024 Cleveland Guardians lineup would look like had they not made any trades last year. It's a pretty potent lineup, one I would proudly pick to win the AL Central Division. Here's what the lineup actually looks like going into the season. How did this happen? The fact is, if the prospects that the Guardians acquired don't pan out, then the trades of Nolan Jones, Will Benson, and Yainer Diaz could tank the potential of a talented Cleveland core these next few years. Let's dive into their breakouts and how Cleveland managed to let them all slip away. First up is probably the most painful of them all for Cleveland fans, and that's Nolan Jones. He was originally a second-round pick of a stacked 2016 draft class, a few selections ahead of the likes of Brian Reynolds, Pete Alonso, and Bo Bichette. He was well regarded for his cannon arm and plate discipline, maintaining an on-base percentage above 400 3 years in a row from low A to double A. He was subsequently named to the 2019 Futures game, climbing to number 2 on Cleveland's prospect list that same year, and then claiming the top spot for himself in 2020. But as we know, minor leaguers lost their season in the pandemic year, which likely stunted the development of Nolan Jones, among others. It took a couple more years for him to finally reach the show, and in 2022, Jones burst onto the scene in his first 4 games with the Guardians. He went 7 for 13 with a home run and 8 RBIs right off the bat, but he did quickly cool down over his next 24 games to close out the season. Jones went just 5 for 30 with 13 strikeouts and 0 walks in August before getting optioned back down to AAA and failing to make the roster again in September. At this point, Jones had been beleaguered with surgeries on both his right thumb and left ankle in 2 separate seasons, in addition to missing that key year of development. Despite maintaining a below-league average weighted runs created plus from their outfielders, the Cleveland Guardians decided to trade away their thin outfield depth. In the offseason following 2022, Jones was dealt to the Colorado Rockies in exchange for their number 30 ranked prospect, a versatile infielder named Juan Brito. In his own right, Brito hit well in Colorado's minor league affiliates, showed great plate discipline, and does play 3 different infield positions. However, I still find this move peculiar because the Guardians have 2 infielders, Andres Gimenez and Jose Ramirez, both locked up on extensions until 2028 at the very least. With Brian Rocchio, where exactly is Brito going to play? I guess we'll find out. As for Nolan Jones, the former second-round pick got ample opportunities for playing time in a much weaker Colorado organization. Jones joined the club on May 26th of 2023 after a couple months at AAA and immediately hit the ground running for the Rockies. Playing every day for Colorado, he registered a 20 home run, 20 stolen base season in his rookie campaign, the first Rockies rookie ever to do so. Per Foolish Baseball, who commonly refers to me as Happy Grape, this is the least amount of plate appearances ever to accomplish a 2020 season, rookie or not. He also managed a .931 OPS, which was 10th among all MLB players last season with at least 400 plate appearances. He finished 4th in National League Rookie of the Year voting in a stacked class featuring the likes of Corbin Carroll, Kodai Senga, and James Outman. Jones was also a reverse splits hitter, mashing lefties to the tune of a .902 OPS and 7 home runs and 130 plate appearances last year. He was one of just 5 left-handed hitters to accomplish that mark last season, alongside a couple former MVP winners in Freddie Freeman and Cody Bellinger. It's important to note that Nolan Jones also isn't just a stick. He has already set the Rockies franchise record with 19 outfield assists from last season, which led all MLB outfielders, one ahead of Lane Thomas, who also had 2 months on him. It makes sense when you see his cannon of an arm, which registers him in the 100th percentile of all MLB players for arm strength. A good example of this is this 100-mile-per-hour BB he threw in center field in San Francisco to gun down Luis Matos trying to take home. Now, there is room for regression for Nolan Jones, with his .401 batting average on balls in play being the highest among players with at least 400 or more plate appearances. You can also throw the Coors effect in there as well, though his park-adjusted numbers speak to his talents as a pure hitter, elevation or not. He slashed a .935 OPS in away games last year, which was actually a smidge higher than his raw OPS in Coors Field games. I think this dude can just hit. Also not related to his talents on the field, but he is a baseball trivia savant. I know this firsthand because I got to ask him a couple questions in the Rockies clubhouse a few weeks ago. Oh, the height difference is because he went tippy toes and I squatted. I just wanted to make him feel better. While the Guardians have a left fielder they certainly like in Steven Kwan, it would have been a dream to have both him and Nolan Jones patrolling the corner outfield spots. This likely would have been the spot for Oscar Gonzalez, who has since bounced around in DFA limbo after this season. Instead, they'll have to wait and see if Juan Brito is going to be a candidate for the shortstop position in the near future, only able to watch helplessly as a 26-year-old Nolan Jones embarks on what could be a very promising career out in Denver. The crazy thing is, even if Cleveland doesn't get totally burned by this trade, they could have been totally fine had they not also traded their other young, promising corner outfielder, because last year, the Cincinnati Reds were probably the most fun team in baseball that didn't make the playoffs, and one of their most electric players was outfielder Will Benson, acquired from none other than the Cleveland Guardians after the 2022 season, just like his buddy Nolan Jones.
A quick interruption on today's video to thank today's sponsor, which is Mova Globes. I'm decked out in AL East right now. I have my Yankees Mova Globe, my Red Sox Mova Globe, my Orioles hat, and these rotating globes are powered by ambient light. That's right, I'm not moving these guys. They're not plugged into anything. They're moving on their own accord. There's 40 different designs that you can get your Mova Globe in, including, but not limited to, world maps, outer space, famous artworks, and more. But if you do want the baseball Mova Globe, we're baseball fans here, they have 12-team Mova Globe, and all 30 MLB teams are going to be available next month. So get in on the action right now by clicking the link in my description and using promo code JOLLYO10. That'll get you 10% off your order. Go order your globes right now with the link in the description. Thank you to Mova Globes for sponsoring my video today. Now let's get back to the action.
If you thought trading away a promising second-round pick was bad, what about trading a promising former first-round pick instead? From that very same 2016 draft class that we just talked about, Will Benson was selected in the first round by Cleveland, meaning they traded away their top 2 picks from that class. Still, the remarkable thing is that they came out of this draft decently rich in talent, taking Aaron Savali in the 3rd round, who they recently traded for top prospect Kyle Manzardo, and then somehow snaking away Shane Bieber with pick number 122 in the 4th round. We can make fun of their position player situation, but these boys can pitch. Unlike Nolan Jones, Benson's minor league stats didn't immediately light the league on fire. After being ranked the number 7 Cleveland prospect in both 2017 and 2018, his value plummeted to number 25 in 2019 before going completely unranked in 2021. Benson's batting averages never jumped off the page, and he certainly struck out a fair amount, but his decent walk numbers and stolen base potential gave a lot of hope to his big league trajectory. That potential came to fruition in 2022 during his season at AAA, where Benson's bat exploded to the tune of a 948 OPS in 89 games, which earned him a well-deserved call-up to the Guardians in August, just around the same time that Nolan Jones made the club. Benson did go 0 for 11 in his first 6 games as a big leaguer, and while he rounded out 2022 as an MLB player, his numbers hardly inspired any confidence. Just 3 months after cutting Nolan Jones loose in a trade with Colorado, the Cleveland Guardians did the same to their other 2016 draftee outfielder, trading Will Benson to the Cincinnati Reds, in exchange for prospects Justin Boyd and Steve Hajar. I'm gonna go with Hajar. Both of these prospects were unranked in Cincy's system, with Boyd being a fresh second-round pick in the 2022 draft. Hajar was a second-round pick from the year prior, whose numbers as a starting pitcher propelled once he arrived in Cleveland's organization, but he's still likely a couple years away from cracking the big league roster. Both of these players failed to appear on this year's updated top 30 prospect list for the Cleveland Guardians. On the surface, this trade looks less than ideal right now, but I'm doing my best not to judge it without seeing how these guys pan out. The only thing we can really judge in this video is how the major league players are doing at the major league level. It just happens that all of them are doing really well. Benson again got off to a rough start when he made the opening day roster for the Reds, putting up a golden sombrero in the first game of the season and going just 2 for 27 with 14 strikeouts through his first dozen games. But for both Will Benson and his Reds, everything changed with an early June series welcoming the Los Angeles Dodgers into town. After a miraculous walk-off victory the night before, the Reds erased another 4-run deficit the next day to enter the 9th inning tied at 6 runs apiece. Benson, who got the start in the leadoff spot that day, stepped up to the dish against closer Evan Phillips. Phillips had allowed just 4 home runs in his last 86 2/3 innings, dating back to the beginning of 2022. Will Benson, over 100 plate appearances deep into his playing career, was still searching for his very first home run. Can you guys guess what happened next? From this electric moment onward, the ascent of Will Benson began, as the hulking outfielder hit 300 for the rest of the season. Benson finished the season with 11 home runs, 19 stolen bases, and a very impressive 130 OPS+, putting him in the top 40 hitters in baseball with at least 300 plate appearances. He certainly was a platoon splits guy, doing most of his mashing against right-handed pitching and very little against southpaws, but the point stands that he became a key cog in a potent Reds lineup that really kicked into gear in the final 4 months of the year. Believe it or not, it was actually a conversation with veteran Joey Votto that made things click in Benson's brain. He said he thanks God for Joey Votto every day. Don't we all? While Benson may not be as complete of a player as Nolan Jones already appears to be, he certainly is a quality big leaguer and could be due for an even bigger breakout in 2024. He ranked in the 88th percentile of sprint speed according to Baseball Savant, which was slightly faster than CJ Abrams, who, by the way, stole 47 bases last year and only got caught 4 times. Benson is certainly capable of a 2020 season this year, while still only being an everyday middle-end bat in an absolutely stacked lineup. So while I'm sure the Guardians would gladly welcome back both of those corner outfielders, or even just one of them, they do have a young catcher they really like in Bo Naylor, and for good reason. He showed a ton of potential at the plate last year and certainly can pick it behind the dish, which does cushion the blow of losing Yainer Diaz as well. This one goes back to 2021 at the trade deadline. Diaz, who wasn't even the main piece of the trade really, had mashed in the minor leagues but was something of a work in progress defensively. Still, with a cumulative 868 OPS and 4 seasons in affiliate ball, Yainer Diaz deservedly got some attention, and he was packaged alongside Phil Maton in a deadline swap that helped Cleveland land Miles Straw. Straw did win a Gold Glove in Cleveland, but he had a paltry 610 OPS at the dish in parts of 3 seasons. Let's see where he's at now. Damn it. Well, I mean, at least Phil Maton's just some reliever, right? He's probably not even on a team. Damn it. We haven't even got to what Yainer's done yet. Yainer Diaz was named the Astros Minor League Player of the Year in 2022 with his seismic offensive performance, clubbing 25 home runs and hitting over 300 in over 100 games at AA and AAA. He got the call-up in September, and after that cup of coffee, he made the opening day roster for the 2023 season and took off from there. It took him some time to get his feet under him, but from the beginning of June to the end of the season, Diaz absolutely raked at the plate. His 23 home runs was the second highest of any Astros rookie ever, only to his teammate Yordan Alvarez, who had more in 2019. Diaz's 128 OPS plus on the year helped him finish 5th in American League Rookie of the Year voting. His 538 slugging clip was better than any other catcher in baseball who had at least 300 plate appearances. He certainly has some work to do with drawing walks, with his 2.9 walk percentage being the lowest among all qualified catchers last year, and he also has some peculiar splits between right-handed and left-handed pitching to the tune of a 300-point difference in OPS. But in the end, there's no denying the raw hitting talent that Yainer Diaz has in his arsenal. Well, actually, there is some denying it, because Dusty Baker was denying it all season and instead choosing to play Martin Maldonado because of his, clubhouse leadership, man. Where's that column on Baseball Reference? Where's the clubhouse leadership plus, or the clubhouse leadership above replacement? What am I talking about? Also, his defense had fully developed too. He threw out 15 of 50 runners attempting to steal on him, and that 30% clip was 4th best among American League catchers. He also ranked in the 80th percentile or better for various advanced catching metrics. With a new regime in, and now Maldonado playing for the White Sox, Yainer Diaz has the keys to the Astros catcher job for the entire 2024 season. I'll admit that the following example is an imperfect way of measuring a loss in value, but bear with me. If we reinserted Nolan Jones, Will Benson, and Yainer Diaz and their respective WAR totals from 2023 back into Cleveland's everyday lineup, here's what happens. That adds up to about 9.2 BWAR altogether, which is easily outnumbering the total value of 0 on the dot from Miles Straw at 1.1, Will Brennan at 0.5, and the catching tandem of Cam Gallagher and Mike Zunino, who registered negative 1.6 WAR. In a flawed but understandable sense, Cleveland could have been 9 wins richer last year, which would have taken them to an 85-win record, 2 games shy of the 87-win Minnesota Twins. Maybe with a better record at the deadline, Cleveland buys some talent instead of trading Josh Bell. Maybe with a better lineup, they win more games against the Twins, who they went 7-6 against last year. Maybe with those additional wins, they crack the playoffs, where anything can happen, as we've seen the past 2 years. It's all speculation, but there will be plenty of what-ifs to come if this trio of young stud big league hitters continues to ascend to the top of the game. As my good friend, coworker, and fan of rival team in your division would say, Cleveland, What is you doing, baby? I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. If you did, leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the Jolly Olive channel. I appreciate you as always, and I'll see you guys next time.